Well, hello everyone. I'm hoping by this point that you've turned around and watched the lecture videos on classical conditioning and operant conditioning, because basically I want to spend a very brief amount of time talking about concepts that apply to both apply both to classical conditioning and operant conditioning in consumer behavior, and that is what we call generalization and discrimination. So let me go ahead and get started. Hopefully you remember seeing this as an example that I used to explain classical conditioning, where basically, and I went ahead and added a circle to show how this works. You have an unconditioned stimulus, which influences an unconditioned response. A natural stimulus results in a natural reaction. And then basically I used the example in an earlier lecture of a party results in a natural reaction, which is, in this case, a positive emotion. You see an ad for a party, you see pretty people, you see handsome men, you turn around and you think of positive things. Everyone's smiling, have a good time. The conditioned stimulus often in these ads is the product. And the whole idea, if you notice by the circles, is that the product influences the party and the party influences the product. So it's very circular there. You're associating the product with a party. And if you can associate the product with a given party, say, for example, I use the example of alcohol, Bud Light. Everyone's having a beer, as it were, at the party. Then basically the conditioned response is that you have a positive reaction when you see the ad, and you turn around and feel the need to buy the product. Now, I want to speak of what's called generalization and discrimination. Going back to this, when a similar conditioned stimulus results in the same response, all right? When a similar conditioned stimulus results in the same conditioned response, you have what is called generalization. Let me actually go back to the prior slide and say, if instead of the Bud Light product that you've got with your beer, you turn around and have a competitor that has a similar uh, uh, type of beer, and they too put it in a can that looks the same and the same shape and so on and so forth. All right. If a similar conditioned stimulus, a similar product can result in the same reaction that you buy the other product, okay, instead of that, we call that generalization. All right. Competition loves generalization. When the little guy, as it were, as a way of putting it, turns around and can't compete with the big business, they sometimes turn around and try and do things to get people to make the association. One of these is a company called Walmart. We all know who Walmart is and how they tend to design their sign there in the size prints and so on and so forth. There was another company that has come out that doesn't sell anything like Walmart does, but they do sell cars, and they call themselves CarMart. At one time, CarMart, when they made up their signs, actually, I believe, put a star in between the word car and mart, just like Walmart did. They basically are using generalization. They want you to think of discount prices and a place that you enjoy. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, Walmart turned around and brought a lawsuit against CarMart saying you cannot do that, you're stealing our trademark, and so on and so forth. So this was a time where the competition loves the idea that customers see a similar product, in this case, a similar style of ad, and they think the exact same thing and it increases sales. Okay. Now, obviously, the original company hates this kind of stuff because that means that you turn around and find yourself in a situation where people are buying other products rather than your own. Instead of going to your car dealership, or excuse me, I know Walmart doesn't sell cars, but they do have an automotive department. They turn around and you think that CarMart is an extension. Walmart doesn't like that. And in fact, lawsuits can be very common in that regard. So a generalization occurs when a similar conditioned stimulus, a similar product, gets the same response and you end up buying the other product as well. Okay. Now, in terms of operant conditioning, remember operant conditioning, and this is very important. With operant conditioning, you know, um, you carry out a behavior, you get something good for it. You buy the product and good things happen. With operant conditioning and generalization, you might have a situation where a product is doing very, very well. You'll see a lot of the products there on the left and the right, where on the left side, not always, but you have a product that's doing very well. So what does the competition do? They introduce a similar product. They a lot of times will put it in similar packaging. They will put it out there as a generic, because a lot of generics are that way, but they're less expensive. But they look an awful lot alike. The way they're packaged, the way they're put together, looks very similar to the competition, and that is by design. This is an example of generalization in operant conditioning. Buy my other product, save a little money, and get the exact same result. Okay. Once again, the competition loves generalization, and the original company not so much. Then we speak of discrimination. Okay, in classical conditioning, remember how I said that if a similar condition stimulus, a similar product gets you to buy? Well, discrimination occurs when a similar condition stimulus does not result in a condition response. Or in other words, a similar condition stimulus does not get you to buy the alternative product. All right. So, and that's what we talk about in classical conditioning. Companies love it when consumers can discriminate. Companies love it when consumers can turn around and realize that the alternate product is not the same, and therefore they don't turn around and buy it. The same can be said with operant conditioning, okay? Product copies, companies create generics or other brands that are similar to the original. If they don't end up doing as well as the original product, it's because the consumer can tell the difference. And in that case, you've saved yourself a lot of time and a lot of money, and the smaller company competition doesn't end up taking a lot of your market share in that regard. So discrimination is where the consumer can tell the difference, and generalization is where a lot of times they don't. All right. So that's about it. That's what I wanted to go with. Hope you're doing well. Hope you do well on the quiz. Do take care. Bye.